Step back in time and rediscover the coolest gadgets of the 1970s. From groundbreaking music players to early gaming consoles, these tech innovations shaped the future and became icons of their era. Before the Sony Walkman, people could only listen to music at home or in a car. When Sony introduced the first truly portable cassette player in 1979, it revolutionized how people enjoyed music. The Walkman allowed users to take their favorite songs anywhere, providing private listening through headphones, a novelty at the time. It was lightweight, easy to use, and fueled the growing personal music culture. The device became a status symbol, popular among teenagers and music lovers. The Walkman's stereo sound quality was impressive for a portable gadget. Although cassettes existed before, Sony's innovation made them a mainstream format. It kickstarted the portable audio market, paving the way for future technologies like CD players, MP3 players, and smartphones. Its success was massive, selling over 400 million units worldwide. Do you remember your first Walkman or a favorite cassette you played on repeat? The Atari 2600 was a game-changer in the video game industry, introducing interchangeable cartridges instead of built-in games. Before its release, home gaming was extremely limited, often with single-game consoles. The 2600 brought arcade hits like Pac-Man, Space Invaders, and Asteroids into living rooms. The joystick and paddle controllers gave users a variety of gaming experiences. It also played a major role in making home gaming mainstream, appealing to kids and adults alike. Though initially slow to gain traction, the console's popularity soared in the early 80s. It was a huge commercial success, selling over 30 million units. The Atari 2600 set the foundation for modern gaming, proving that video games could be a major entertainment industry. Without it, we might not have the PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo consoles we know today. The Polaroid SX70 was a groundbreaking instant camera that eliminated the need for darkroom development. Unlike earlier Polaroid models, the SX70 produced high-quality color photos in minutes. It featured an innovative folding design, making it compact and portable, ideal for capturing spontaneous moments. The SX70 was also the first Polaroid to use integral film, meaning no need to peel apart film sheets. Its futuristic appeal made it a favorite among photographers, artists, and celebrities, including Andy Warhol. The camera's self-developing technology felt like magic to users, creating a unique, instant photography culture. Polaroid continued to refine the SX70 series, setting the stage for future instant cameras. Even today, its nostalgic charm inspires modern instant photography brands like Fujifilm Instax. Despite digital photography taking over, the SX70 remains iconic for vintage camera enthusiasts. What if a toy could teach kids how to spell, using a robotic voice straight from the future? In the late 1970s, that idea became a reality with the Texas Instruments Speak and Spell. Unlike traditional spelling books, this handheld device used early speech synthesis technology to say words aloud, helping children learn correct pronunciation and spelling. Its bright orange design, simple interface, and engaging word games made it a huge hit among kids and parents alike. The Speak and Spell wasn't just a toy. It was one of the first consumer devices to feature digital speech, a technology that paved the way for voice assistants like Siri and Alexa. It even became a pop culture icon, famously appearing in E.T. the Extraterrestrial, 1982. Did you ever own a Speak and Spell? Or do you remember using any early electronic learning toys? The JVC VHS, Video Home System, was one of the most influential inventions in home entertainment history. Before VHS, watching movies or TV shows was restricted to live broadcasts or expensive Betamax tapes. VHS allowed users to record and watch TV on demand, fundamentally changing how people consumed media. Unlike its rival, Sony's Betamax, VHS won the format war due to longer recording times and lower costs. By the 1980s, VHS had become the industry standard, leading to the rise of video rental stores like Blockbuster. The format remained dominant until DVDs emerged in the late 1990s. VHS tapes made home movies, personal recording, and even bootleg films accessible to millions. Its impact on media culture was immense, paving the way for DVD, Blu-ray, and modern-day streaming services like Netflix. What was the first movie you ever watched on VHS? Before the HP-35, engineers, scientists, and students relied on bulky slide rules for complex calculations. Hewlett-Packard changed everything by introducing the first handheld scientific calculator in 1972. It was small enough to fit in a pocket, yet powerful enough to handle advanced mathematical functions like logarithms, trigonometry, and exponentials. At a time when desktop computers were massive and expensive, the HP-35 was a game-changer. Despite its hefty $395 price tag, it quickly became a must-have tool for professionals, replacing traditional manual methods. NASA engineers even used it for spaceflight calculations. The HP-35 marked the beginning of modern pocket calculators and paved the way for the scientific and graphing calculators we use today. By 1975, the success of the HP-35 led to the decline of the slide rule, making it an engineering revolution. The Magnavox Odyssey was the first home video game console ever released, predating Atari and Nintendo. Created by Ralph Baer, the console used removable cartridges to switch between different games. Unlike modern cartridges, these didn't hold game data, but rather controlled the circuitry inside the console. The Odyssey's graphics were basic black and white squares, and users had to place plastic overlays on their TV screens to add color and background images. The console came with accessories like dice, poker chips, and scorecards, blending electronic and traditional board gaming. While it sold about 350,000 units, it wasn't a massive hit, partly because many people didn't understand its potential. However, it laid the foundation for the entire home gaming industry. Without the Odyssey, there would be no PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo Switch today. Sony's Betamax was one of the first home video cassette formats, introduced in 1975 to let consumers record and watch TV on demand. With superior video quality compared to later formats like VHS, Betamax seemed like the future of home entertainment. However, its 1-hour recording limit was a major disadvantage. In contrast, VHS could record up to 2 hours, making it more practical for full-length movies and television shows. Despite its technical superiority, Betamax lost the format war to VHS by the early 1980s. One reason was Sony's strict licensing policy, while JVC, VHS, allowed other manufacturers to use its format, making it cheaper and more widely available. Though Betamax faded, its influence lived on. It helped establish the home video revolution, making movie rentals and personal recordings part of everyday life. The Philips N1500 was one of the first home video recorders, offering users the ability to record and replay television broadcasts, a revolutionary concept in the early 70s. Unlike earlier reel-to-reel video recorders, the N1500 used cassettes, making it much easier to use. It had a built-in timer, allowing users to schedule recordings, a feature that later became standard in VHS and DVRs. However, its short recording time, 30 to 60 minutes, and high cost, around £600, equivalent to thousands today, limited its adoption. Despite these drawbacks, the N1500 pioneered the home video industry, paving the way for VHS and Betamax. It was a glimpse into a future where people could control their TV schedules instead of being forced to watch broadcasts live. Do you remember the first TV show or movie you ever recorded? Pong was the game that started the video game revolution. Developed by Atari and released in 1972, it was the first commercially successful arcade game. The concept was simple. 2 paddles bounced a pixelated ball back and forth, mimicking a game of table tennis. Despite its simplicity, Pong became wildly popular, attracting players to arcades and bars across the country. Its success led to home versions, most notably the Atari Home Pong console, 1975, bringing video games into people's living rooms for the first time. Pong's impact on gaming was massive. It proved that video games could be profitable and launched the entire gaming industry. Without Pong, we might not have Super Mario, Call of Duty, or Fortnite today. It was a cultural phenomenon, showing the world that interactive entertainment was here to stay. The LED watch, was one of the most futuristic-looking gadgets of the 1970s. Unlike traditional mechanical or analog watches, it featured a bright red LED display that showed the time at the press of a button. The first commercially available LED watch, the Pulsar P1, was released in 1972 by Hamilton and cost a whopping $2,100, more than a Rolex at the time. Despite the high price, LED watches quickly became a symbol of cutting-edge technology. Celebrities and tech enthusiasts loved them, and soon, more affordable models flooded the market. However, LED watches had a downside. They drained battery life quickly, requiring users to press a button just to check the time. By the late 1970s, LCD watches with always-on displays took over, but LED watches remain a classic piece of retro tech nostalgia. What if you could fit an entire math class in the palm of your hand? In the early 1970s, calculators were bulky, expensive, and mostly limited to offices and universities. Then came the Casio Mini Calculator, 1972, one of the first affordable, pocket-sized calculators designed for everyday consumers. It was compact, simple to use, and featured a basic LED display, making it far more convenient than older mechanical adding machines. At a price of 12,800 yen, around $100 at the time, it was a game changer, putting digital calculations within reach of students, professionals, and households. Over 1 million units were sold in just 10 months, proving there was a huge demand for personal calculators. This breakthrough paved the way for scientific and graphing calculators, shaping how we solve math problems today. Do you still use a pocket calculator, or has your smartphone replaced it? The Mini Moog was a game changer for electronic music, introduced in 1970 by Robert Moog. Before this, synthesizers were massive, complex, and mostly used in studios. The Mini Moog made synthesizers portable, user-friendly, and accessible to musicians. It featured pre-wired circuits, allowing users to create sounds without needing a patch bay, which older synths required. This made it a favorite among rock, jazz, and electronic musicians, helping to shape genres like progressive rock, disco, and early electronic music. Artists such as Pink Floyd, Kraftwerk, and Herbie Hancock used the Mini Moog to create iconic sounds. Its rich, warm analog tones became legendary, and even today, many synthesizer manufacturers try to replicate its sound. The Mini Moog proved that electronic instruments could be expressive and musical, laying the foundation for modern synthesizers and digital music production. The Kodak Ektralite 110 was one of the most compact and user-friendly cameras of the 1970s. Unlike bulky SLR cameras, the Ektralite 110 was small enough to fit in a pocket, making photography more convenient than ever. It used the 110 film format, a cartridge-based film that eliminated the need for manual film threading. The camera also introduced built-in flash technology, a major innovation that allowed people to take pictures in low-light conditions without needing an external flash bulb. It was marketed as a point-and-shoot camera, making photography easy for beginners. The Ektralite 110 became hugely popular, especially among travelers and casual photographers. Though 110 film was eventually overshadowed by 35mm and digital photography, the Ektralite 110 remains a nostalgic icon of 1970s photography, representing a shift towards portable, easy-to-use cameras. Do you still have any old printed photos from a Kodak film camera? The LaserDisc, introduced in 1978, was the first optical video format, paving the way for CDs, DVDs, and Blu-ray discs. Unlike VHS tapes, LaserDiscs offered higher video and audio quality with superior durability. The discs were 12 inches in diameter, similar to vinyl records, and could store an entire movie in analog video format. However, LaserDiscs had some major drawbacks. They were expensive, players were bulky, and the discs could only hold 30 to 60 minutes per side, requiring users to flip them during a movie. Despite these issues, the format gained a cult following, especially among cinephiles and home theater enthusiasts who valued its superior image quality. While LaserDisc never replaced VHS, its technology influenced the development of CDs and DVDs, making it a crucial step in the evolution of home video entertainment. The CB, Citizens Band Radio, became a cultural phenomenon in the 1970s, especially among truck drivers, hobbyists, and emergency responders. Originally developed for short-distance communication, CB radios allowed people to chat across distances without needing a telephone. In the US, The oil crisis of 1973 and new speed limit laws made truckers rely on CB radios to avoid speed traps and organize fuel stops. The devices also became popular with regular citizens, inspiring a wave of CB slang like Breaker 19 and 10-4, and even Hollywood movies like Smokey and the Bandit, 1977. Unlike ham radio, CB radios required no special license, making them accessible to anyone. Though their popularity declined with cell phones and the internet, CB radios remain a vital tool for truckers and off-road adventurers, proving their enduring value in communication history. The calculator watch was the ultimate geek gadget of the 1970s and 1980s. Introduced in 1975, these wristwatches combined digital timekeeping with a fully functional mini-calculator. The most famous models came from Casio and Hewlett-Packard, featuring tiny buttons that let users perform basic arithmetic on the go. At a time when personal computers were rare, this was a huge innovation. Calculator watches became a symbol of intelligence and tech savviness, often associated with engineers, scientists, and students. Their popularity surged in the 1980s, thanks to pop culture references, including Marty McFly wearing one in Back to the Future, 1985. Despite being largely replaced by smartwatches and smartphones, calculator watches are still produced today, appealing to retro tech enthusiasts and those who appreciate quirky, functional fashion accessories. Want to see more cool gadgets? Keep watching. The IBM 5100 was one of the first portable computers introduced in 1975, though portable was relative, as it weighed 25 kilograms, 55 pounds. This early machine included a built-in keyboard, display, and storage, making it revolutionary for its time. Unlike mainframe computers, which required entire rooms, the IBM 5100 allowed professionals to perform advanced computing tasks at their desks. It was programmed using APL and BASIC, two of the most important computer languages of the era. However, its high price, starting at $8,975, equivalent to over $40,000 today, made it accessible only to businesses, scientists, and government agencies. The IBM 5100 paved the way for later personal computers, including the IBM PC, 1981, which helped launch the modern computing revolution. Today, it's a highly prized collector's item, marking the beginning of portable computing. The Bally Astrocade was one of the most advanced home video game consoles of the 1970s, yet it remains one of the most underrated. Released in 1977, it featured superior graphics compared to competitors like the Atari 2600 and had a powerful built-in basic programming language, allowing users to create their own games. The console's controllers were also innovative, combining a joystick and a paddle dial, making it versatile for different types of games. However, despite its technical advantages, the Bally Astrocade suffered from poor marketing and limited distribution, preventing it from becoming a household name. Still, it gained a cult following among hobbyists and programmers, many of whom wrote their own software for it. Today, the Bally Astrocade is a highly sought-after collector's item, representing a missed opportunity in gaming history. Have you ever played or heard of the Bally Astrocade before? The Sega SG-1000, released in 1979, was Sega's first home video game console, marking the company's entry into the console gaming market. While relatively unknown outside Japan, it laid the foundation for Sega's later successes, including the Master System and Genesis Mega Drive. The SG-1000 had better hardware than the Atari 2600, featuring sharper graphics and improved sound. It also supported cartridge-based games, allowing for expandable libraries. Although it wasn't as commercially successful as the Nintendo Famicom, NES, which launched a few years later, the SG-1000 played a key role in establishing Sega as a serious competitor in gaming. Many of its features influenced future Sega consoles, and it introduced some of Sega's first home games, making it a pivotal moment in gaming history. Today, the SG-1000 is a rare collector's item for retro gaming fans. In the 1970s, the push-button phone slowly began replacing the traditional rotary dial phone, marking a major shift in communication technology. These touch-tone telephones used a numeric keypad instead of a rotary dial, making dialing much faster and more efficient. Introduced by AT&T under the touch-tone branding, these phones worked using dual-tone multi-frequency DTMF signaling, which improved call speed and reliability. Initially, push-button phones were seen as a luxury item, but by the late 70s, they became more affordable and widespread. Their sleek, modern design made them desirable for homes and businesses alike. The introduction of special function keys, such as the asterisk and pound buttons, paved the way for interactive voice response systems. The push-button phone set the foundation for modern mobile phones and digital dialing, making it a crucial innovation in telecommunications. The Pioneer stereo cassette deck was a game-changer in home audio technology during the 1970s. Unlike earlier cassette players, Pioneer's high-quality decks offered superior sound fidelity, making them the gold standard for music lovers and audiophiles. These decks featured Dolby noise reduction, significantly improving audio clarity by reducing background hiss. Pioneer also introduced auto-reverse technology, allowing tapes to play both sides without needing to flip them manually. This made music playback more convenient and further increased the popularity of cassette tapes. High-end models included VU meters, adjustable recording levels, and advanced equalizers, giving users more control over their music experience. Though vinyl records were still dominant, cassettes provided portability and custom mixtape creation, making them a favorite among music enthusiasts. Pioneer's innovation helped cassettes thrive until CDs took over in the 1980s and 1990s. The digital alarm clock became a household standard in the 1970s, replacing traditional analog clocks with LED or LCD displays. Unlike mechanical clocks, digital models provided precise timekeeping without the need for winding. Many featured bright red LED numbers, making them easy to read in the dark. Later models used LCD technology, which consumed less power and was easier on the eyes. The introduction of AM/FM radio alarms allowed users to wake up to music or news instead of a harsh buzzer, making mornings more pleasant. Digital alarm clocks also introduced snooze buttons, which became a widely used, and sometimes overused, feature. Their affordability and ease of use made them a staple in bedrooms worldwide. While today's smartphones have largely replaced them, digital alarm clocks remain a timeless invention that shaped morning routines for decades. Released in 1978, Merlin was one of the first handheld electronic games, bringing interactive entertainment to a new level. Shaped like a red telephone handset, it featured 6 built-in games, including Tic-Tac-Toe, Music Machine, and Mindbender. The device had a simple interface with 11 red buttons and a speaker, allowing users to play games, create music, and solve puzzles. Created by Parker Brothers, Merlin became an instant hit, selling over 5 million units in the following years. It was more than just a toy. It introduced players to early handheld gaming concepts, inspiring future portable consoles like the Game Boy and PSP. Merlin's simple yet addictive gameplay made it a favorite among kids and adults alike. Even today, it remains a nostalgic icon of 1970s gaming, proving that interactive electronics were the future of entertainment. Did you ever own a Merlin, or do you remember playing any classic handheld games? In the 1970s, handheld electronic games changed how people played by introducing portable digital entertainment. Before this, video games were confined to arcades or home consoles, but companies like Mattel, Milton Bradley, and Coleco created simple, standalone electronic games that could be played anytime, anywhere. One of the first major successes was Mattel's Auto Race, 1976, followed by Football, 1977, which became wildly popular. These games used LED or LCD displays with basic movement mechanics. While primitive by today's standards, they captivated millions and paved the way for devices like the Nintendo Game & Watch, 1880s, and the Game Boy, 1889. Their affordable price and simplicity made them a hit with kids and casual gamers. Even today, these early handheld games are considered collectibles, representing the foundation of mobile gaming. The Casio Quartz watch, introduced in 1974, revolutionized the watch industry by making accurate, affordable, and stylish digital timepieces available to the masses. Unlike mechanical watches, which required winding and frequent maintenance. Quartz watches used a vibrating quartz crystal to keep time with unparalleled accuracy. Casio's first model, the Casiotron, even featured a built-in automatic calendar, a rare innovation at the time. The low cost and precision of quartz watches helped them dominate the market, eventually overtaking traditional Swiss mechanical watches. Throughout the late 1970s and 1980s, Casio continued innovating, introducing calculator watches, waterproof models, and sports watches. The success of Casio's quartz technology laid the groundwork for modern smartwatches and digital wearables. Even today, Casio remains an iconic brand, with its vintage quartz watches still being highly sought after by collectors. The first-generation car navigation systems were primitive but groundbreaking, appearing in 1970s Japan as early experiments in electronic route guidance. Unlike modern GPS, these early systems relied on radio signals, dead reckoning, and physical maps displayed on screens. One of the earliest examples was the Honda Electro Gyrocator, 1981, which used gas-filled gyroscopes to track movement. However, before that, Japanese companies like Toyota and Nissan were experimenting with rudimentary electronic navigation devices in the late 1970s. These systems allowed drivers to plot routes manually, offering an early glimpse of the future of in-car technology. While not as advanced as today's GPS, they paved the way for modern satellite-based navigation, which became mainstream in the 1990s. Today, these early experiments are seen as the foundation of in-car navigation systems used worldwide. The Sharp EL805, released in 1973, was the first pocket calculator to feature an LCD display, marking a major advancement in consumer electronics. Before this, most calculators used LED displays, which consumed more power. The EL805 introduced low-energy LCD technology, allowing for longer battery life and a slimmer design. This made pocket calculators more practical and affordable for everyday use. Sharp's innovation set the standard for future calculators, leading to the development of solar-powered models in the 1980s. The EL805 itself was considered futuristic at the time, with its sleek design and lightweight body, making it a favorite among students and professionals. Today, LCD calculators remain an essential tool, proving the lasting impact of the EL805. Sharp's breakthrough paved the way for the modern digital devices we take for granted today. The first-generation cordless phones, introduced in the 1970s, gave people the freedom to move while talking, eliminating the need for wired landline phones. Early models used radio signals to communicate with a base station, allowing short-range mobility within the home. However, they had significant limitations. Sound quality was often poor, with noticeable static and interference from other devices, like radios and microwaves. The range was also limited, and early models lacked security features, making it easy for neighbors to listen in on conversations. Despite these drawbacks, cordless phones became a symbol of modern convenience, evolving rapidly in the 1980s and 1990s as battery life and sound clarity improved. Their success paved the way for mobile phones, proving that wireless communication was the future. Today, while largely replaced by smartphones, cordless phones remain popular in homes and offices. The Apple I, released in 1976, was one of the first home computers, marking the beginning of the personal computing revolution. Designed by Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs, it was one of the first computers sold as a fully assembled circuit board, though users had to provide their own keyboard, power supply, and monitor. Before this, computers were mainly for businesses, universities, and government use. The Apple I showed that computers could be personal, accessible, and useful for hobbyists. While only 200 units were ever made, its impact was huge. It inspired the development of the Apple II, 1977, which became one of the first mass-market home computers. This era also saw the rise of other early home computers, like the Commodore PET and TRS-80, all contributing to the birth of the modern PC industry. What was the first computer you ever used? I hope you enjoyed this journey through the most iconic gadgets of the 1970s. Which ones do you remember? Let us know in the comments. Stay tuned for more tech nostalgia. Until next time.